Hi folks, time to record another Crash JP Morgan Buy Silver video. This time I went out and I bought a couple of pieces of sterling silver flatware just for a change of pace. Really nice stuff. You have to learn about what it is. For instance, knives and other pieces aren't solid silver. The only things that are really solid silver are maybe spoons and forks. Anyway, that's not the point of the video. I got real interested in this quote from James Turk recently from that I picked up off of King World News, and I think this is exactly correct. What you see here, basically, we're not going to sell our gold or silver for fiat money ever. So saying silver is going to 200 or 500 or 600 is kind of irrelevant because we're going to use it for barter. We're going to use it to buy food, to pay our utility bills, to buy clothes, to buy property with. And that brings the question, well, what's it really worth? Now, you always hear this quote from people out there on the internet and jerks basically, that in ancient Rome an ounce of gold would get you a nice suit of clothes or a good meal, and that's all gold is worth. I don't think that's true, so I decided to go and look into the details of it. I did a little bit of research, took maybe an hour, and you might be surprised at the results. So let's take a look. Just what was gold worth in ancient Rome? First off, the standard coin used by the people in ancient Rome was not a gold coin at all. It was the silver denarii, or denarius. And the amount of silver varied over time because the Romans debased their coinage, just like the Federal Reserve debases our money. The emperors would put less and less silver and eventually started putting copper into them and you name it. But for the first few hundred years while the empire was still growing, the denarii was pretty stable. And the best economic data I could find was around the time of Christ when Augustine was around, and that was the denarii at that time contained about 3.9 grams of silver, or about 20% less than a mercury dime. So the standard coin of the realm of ancient Rome was just a bit, it's 20% larger, just a bit larger than a mercury dime. And the standard gold coin was the golden aureus, and the fixed rate of exchange at that time was 25 denarii to a gold aureus. Now the aureus was considered too valuable for ordinary everyday people to use, so it was very seldom struck. So it varied all over the place, and the first standard size of an aureus was 8 grams. Which comes from the time of Caesar, which isn't quite this time, but let's assume it's right. So at that weight, an 3.89 aureus would equal a troy ounce, or 1 gold eagle, which would equal 91.2 silver denarii. So there's our ounce of gold converted into something that we can then look at in terms of what Romans actually spent for their daily goods. So 91.2 silver denarii is the equivalent of a modern gold eagle. And what could we get for that? Well, it's pretty interesting because a tunic around the turn of the time of Christ in Rome cost 15 sestertii, which is about 3 3/4 denarii. So you could buy about 24 complete suits of clothes with an ounce of gold. Or basically you could clothe a family of 4 for a couple of years with an ounce of gold. Now that's a little bit different than, oh, you can buy one nice suit of clothes with an ounce of gold. No, you could clothe your entire family for a couple of years, wardrobe your family for a couple of years with an ounce of gold. And then it gets really interesting. If you consider that a loaf of bread and a half liter of wine is about what a meal would amount to, there really aren't prices for meat or vegetables in the data. that would cost about a half a denarii. So you could buy over 182 meals with one gold eagle in ancient Rome. Or you could feed yourself for about 2 months. So you're getting the idea of why people did not carry gold coins in ancient Rome. They were only used by the government or large rich corporations, or not corporations, but landowners. Because how could you buy 2 months worth of meals in one sitting? You couldn't. And then it gets even more interesting because there's some data about what it costs an average Roman family of 4, considering kids eat less than adults and all that. What would it cost a Roman family of 4 to feed themselves? And in Rome, which is the most expensive place to live in the entire empire, around the time of Christ it cost about 200 denarii per year for them to buy all their groceries. And what that amounts to is a family of 4 could feed themselves for almost 6 months with 1 ounce of gold. And out in the provinces where the cost of living was lower, they could easily feed themselves for a full year with a gold eagle. So they could clothe themselves for a couple of years and feed themselves for a year with a gold eagle, and I would bet they could probably rent a place to live for a year. So about 3 gold eagles, you could take care of yourself and your family for an entire year in ancient Rome. So the next time some jerk comes and tells you, oh, you could buy a suit of clothes and a meal for an ounce of gold in ancient Rome, now you know the truth. Hope you learned something. Thanks.